What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg with a look at the Samsung Gear Live and the LG G Watch. Both of these are running Android Wear, which basically means they're running essentially the same operating system, but the hardware is a bit different. So we're going to take a look at all three of them in this video. Now I say three of them because the LG G Watch is available in these two colors, and I thought it'd be kind of nice to take a look at them. Now the LG G Watch retails for $229, the Gear Live retails for $199. You can buy this from the Google Play Store. Now in terms of specs, both watches are running the Snapdragon 400 processor clocked at 1.2 gigahertz with half a gig of RAM and 4 gigs of internal storage, and that's really where the similarities end. Now the Samsung has a 1.63-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 320 by 320. That's the same as the Gear 2. The LG is using a slightly larger display, 1.65 inches instead of 1.63 inches. This is an LCD IPS display with a resolution of 280 by 280, so slightly lower resolution but slightly larger display. Now the Samsung has a 300 milliamp hour battery versus the 400 milliamp hour battery in the LG G Watch. That also makes the LG G Watch slightly heavier than the Samsung and slightly thicker, but the Samsung Watch is actually expected to get better battery life thanks to the Super AMOLED display. Alright, so for our first unboxing, let's go ahead and take a look at the Samsung Gear Live. And if you're familiar with the Gear 2 unboxing and review I did earlier, this is pretty familiar packaging. Alright, so I'm just going to cut the seal right here. Alright, so let's go ahead and lift the lid. There we go, there's the Gear Live in its little tray. Pull it out of here. As you can see, it's wrapped in plastic just like the Gear 2 I reviewed earlier. So let me go ahead and peel this off. Got a little tab here. We have another piece of plastic covering the clasp. So inside our packaging, we have our wall chargers. As you can see, this is a fixed wall adapter with a micro USB charging port at the other end. And then we have our charging cradle right here, wrapped in plastic. Again, very familiar to the Gear 2 products. So as you can see here, this snaps onto the back and you have your little charging port on the side. In fact, let's go ahead and show you this. On the back of the Gear Live, you can see we have our heart rate monitor and our electrical connections for the dock. Just snap this on and plug it in and charge it. Now if you look at the cradle, you can see it actually leaves a little hole here for the microphone to work through the cradle when it's connected. Then you can see we have our kind of home button along the side of the Gear. And when you want to pop this off, you just push here, pops right off. Also tucked in here is some paperwork. So we have health and safety and warranty guide for the Samsung Gear, as well as a quick reference manual. We'll explore all of this when we set it up. Now before we take a look at the Gear, let's go ahead and get to the LG G Watch so we can compare them. So we have the white and gold and the black version. I think the black version is going to be the most popular, and I don't think a lot of people are taking a look at the white version, so I thought it'd be kind of nice to take a look at that. So let's go ahead and crack these open at the same time. I'm going to crack the seals right here. Alright, so let's go ahead and lift the lids here. So we have our black model, and then we have our white model. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull out the black model here. So you can see we have black faceplate, black trim pieces, and a black band. We're going to set that aside for just a moment and get to the white one here. So as you can see here, a white band with gold trim and a white back panel. Now we should have all these same accessories on the inside. We have a wall adapter. So there we go, we have an LG branded universal USB wall adapter, unlike the fixed cable on the Samsung Watch. And we have our magnetic charging dock, which is a little different than the friction dock on the Gear product. So on the front we have a magnetic charging tray with the charging connections right there. We have our USB charging port on the side. And then we have this foot. This allows us to stick the charger to a table so it won't move around when you're charging your watch. All you have to do is peel off the plastic that's back here, like so, and there we go, and that's reusable, so you can clean this up and stick it anywhere you want. Now we also get a quick start guide in multiple languages, and we're going to cover that in this video. The white watch has the exact same accessories. They are not color matched to the white, they're still black. Alright, so let's get to the watches. Alright, so the LG G Watch has a little more plastic than the Gear, so let's go ahead and peel that off. I think we also have some pieces along the side, as well as some plastic on the back. Of course, same story with the black watch. Just peel off the front panel and the back panel, as well as the plastic along the side. Now turning on the Gear Live is pretty straightforward. You have a power button along the side. Just tap that, and it should begin the boot up process. I have it upside down here. So you get that little animation, that Android Wear animation. That's the same on the LG G Watch. And then we can go through the setup process. Now on the LG G Watch, there is no power button, but you can turn it on simply by docking it in the cradle and connecting the power, and it begins charging and wakes it up. But if you want to power it on the old-fashioned way, there's actually a tiny little button right there that allows you to turn on if you have a paper clip or something like that, or a SIM ejection tool. Now if I press and hold that button, It should start booting up here. There we go. Let's go through the setup process here. I'm going to select my language, and now it's telling me to install Android Wear on your phone. So I'm going to take my LG G3. Now, it doesn't have to be an LG phone just because it's an LG watch. This will work with any Android phone that supports the Android Wear app. So let me go to the App Store here. So I'm just going to search for Android Wear. I see the app right here. It is a free app. Let's go ahead and install it. All right, so let's get set up here, and it's going to tell us a little bit about the features that are included with the software. I'm going to click Accept. So right now the app actually sees 3 Android Wear devices, including the one I want to pair right here, G-Watch 1 EEC. So let's go ahead and select that. All right, so we just have to match the codes, and we're going to click Pair here. Now you also have to make sure that your phone's Bluetooth is turned on, so that's the first step. Now the first step here is to download the latest firmware. First thing the app wants me to do is to enable notifications for Android Wear. So let's go to Notification Settings and select Android Wear. Click OK. And we're good to go. All right, first up, let's take a look at the Samsung Gear Live. So this is running Android Wear. So as you can see here, it's got that card viewer. I'll take a close look at the operating system a bit later. But as you can see here, we have a 1.63-inch Super AMOLED display, 320 by 320 resolution. Looks great off-axis with very bright, vivid colors. As you can see here, we have this nice curved metal faceplate, which adds some sophistication to the design. So it looks kind of like a traditional watch in many ways, very similar to the Gear 2. Along the side, you have something unique to the Gear Live, which is a home button, which allows you to either shut it off or take it to the home screen. You have a microphone right here. There is no speaker on this like you get with the Gear 2. If you open up the clasp here, we have the Samsung clasp. This is actually a clasp very similar to the Gear Fit, but different than the Gear 2. So you can see here we have our heart rate monitor and the charging connections on the back for the snap-on cradle. You can see on the side we also have these little fittings just above the microphone on the left-hand and right-hand side for snapping on that cradle. Now as you can see here, these straps are removable, so you can add your own straps if you prefer, although as you can see here, the design is kind of integrated on the Gear. Now if you look side on, you can see that the glass panel is actually slightly curved at the ends here, so it provides a little more of a jewelry-like effect. Now just to quickly show you the difference between the Gear 2 and the Gear Live, both have the same display, 320 by 320 Super AMOLED, and the design is very similar, although a little different here. You can see that the Gear Live is a little wider, so it's got a taller design, but still has that kind of same curved glass design. You can see that we have a home button on the Gear 2, and this is running Tizen versus Android Wear. Android Wear is basically a universal operating system, while Tizen is a Samsung exclusive. So this only works with Samsung phones, while the Gear Live will actually work with any phone running the Gear Live Manager and the Android Wear Manager, and is running Android 4.3 or newer. You can see we also have a camera on the Gear 2 with an eye or a blaster, none on the Gear Live. We also have a speaker on the Gear 2 versus the Gear Live, which has no speaker, just has a microphone. But we do retain the heart rate monitor on the back, so we do have that feature which the LG G Watch does not have. The clasps are also different here. This is more like the Gear Fit, kind of a lower end clasp versus the one that's on the Gear 2 here. But of course the Gear 2 is also $100 more expensive, so this retails for $299 versus $199 for the Samsung Gear Live. Alright, so if we take a close look at the LG G Watch on the back, we have this plastic back panel, which is color matched to the band, so white with the white and black with the black. If you look along the side, you can see we have a metal band. It's gold or champagne colored on the white, black on the black. I think it looks a little more premium on the white model just because it highlights the fact that this is a metal material, while this just kind of looks like black plastic. And you can also see we have a glossy plastic bezel that goes around the glass display. You can also see that metal band fastens the watch band. Now if you look along the top, you'll see that little pinhole microphone for interacting with Google Now with voice recognition. We also have our color matching watch clasp. You can see gold and black. This is a pretty traditional watch clasp we're all familiar with. It's a little different than what Samsung has elected to go with, which is similar to the Fit. So basically you just line up these pinholes, snap into place, and resize it as needed. I don't really like this as much as the traditional clasp just because it's kind of harder to get the right fit with this. Now if you look at the displays at maximum brightness, you can see that the Super AMOLED display is a little more saturated, it's a little more colorful, a little more vivid, but the whites aren't as clear. So you can see the whites are a little more bluish, not as crisp and defined as they are on the LCD display here. But the LCD display here is just slightly bigger, but it's a little lower resolution, but you can see it's a bit brighter. Now when it comes to off-axis viewing, this is where Super AMOLED has an advantage here. So you can see the LCD display does kind of darken when looking off-axis. I think that's a little more important on the watch when you're looking at it on your wrist versus a phone when you're mostly looking at it head-on, but you have a little more variable angles with a watch than you do on a phone. So I think off-axis viewing is a little important here. So you can see that the Super AMOLED display is a bit better for that purpose. Now if you look at these watches side-on, you can see that the Gear Live is a little more form-fitting, but it's also a little bulky here. So you can see the hinge of the strap is farther down around your wrist, so it feels a little tighter, a little less loose than something like the G Watch, which feels a little more free. So this feels a little more comfortable than the Gear Live, but I think the Gear Live definitely looks a bit more premium. Now the G Watch straps are much softer, more pliable than the more rigid design on the Gear Live, which again contributes to the more comfortable nature of the G Watch. So you can also see on the interior we have this kind of diamond cut design. Now the Gear Live does look a little more premium than the materials on the G Watch, but it is more rigid, and you can see we also have that ribbed pattern on the inside. Alright, so let's take a look at the user interface. Now Android Wear is pretty much the same on all devices. It's not allowed to be skinned like Android normally is. So the experience on the LG G Watch, the Samsung Gear Live, and the Moto 360 will basically be about the same. So right now we're in ambient mode, so it's displaying the clock as well as our most recent notification. With OLED, this is a little more efficient than the backlit LCD panel of the G Watch because it's only illuminating the pixels that need to be shown. Now if you want to wake this up from ambient mode, right now you can't say, "Okay Google," to begin interacting with it. You basically have to wake it up. There's a number of ways to do that. You can twist your wrist to wake it up, uses the accelerometer, and there we go. Now we can say, "Okay Google, what's the weather like today?" There we go, it gives us the weather forecast for today. You can also swipe right to see your weekly forecast. And you can also tap the button on the side, at least in the case of the Gear Live, and wake it up again like so. We can also just tap the screen to wake it up. We can also swipe through the cards here. So as you can see here, we have several cards here, which are basically our notifications. We have our emails. So you can see I have several email messages here. So if I go to More, you can see all of our emails and basically cycle through them. You can tap on them to see the text of the email. You can also swipe right to archive, which is basically delete in my case, or reply to the message. If you click reply, you can start speaking your text. Now we also have things like our calendar events. We have our pedometer here, which we can swipe through to see our history, our heart rate monitor, and go to our settings. If we go to our settings, it takes us to our settings panel for that app. You can swipe to dismiss it. Now with these notification cards, you can also just swipe to the right to close them. Now we also have text messaging here. So for example, we can swipe right to begin testing this. So for example, I can reply. This is a test of voice recognition on the Gear Live, period. Well, close enough. We're going to allow that to send, and we're good. So as you can see, we got a little check here. And if we swipe here, you will see that message has been added, and they're probably wondering what the heck is Gear Live, but there you go. Now, alternatively, with some apps, all you have the option is to open on your phone. So you get a notification that you've received, for example, a new question on Ask.fm. So if I go to my phone now, if I click Open on Phone, and I unlock my phone, it should take me right to the app, and as it did right there. Now when you get a notification, you get a little pop-up which you can interact with. It also vibrates for you just to let you know there is no speaker here, so you only hear the tone from your phone, not from the watch. Now from the watch face, you can interact with Google Now by saying, "Okay Google, navigate to the nearest gas station." This will activate navigation on my phone and give me directions right on my watch. Now if you tap on the screen, you can get to Google Now. If you tap again, this will take you to what options you have when using Google Now. So for example, you can set reminders, show your footsteps with your pedometer, your heart rate. You can send a text message to anybody you choose. It will actually allow you to select the number from your contacts. You can send an email. You can see your agenda for the day, navigate, set a timer, start a stopwatch, set an alarm, show alarms, and you can also go to your settings from here. So settings is buried here. This is kind of a little confusing. So if you want to, for example, change the brightness of your display, this is where you go. So you can adjust your brightness here. I've already set it to maximum, but by default I think it was down to 2 here. But there you go. You can swipe to get back to other options here. You can always select always on, or we can select always off. You also have airplane mode, which you can toggle on and off as well from here. You can power this off. You can restart it. You can reset the device, change a watch face, or go to about this device. So for example, if you want to change the watch face, this allows us to select different watch faces, and there's many of them to pick from. You can see one from familiar from the Gear 2 some others that are custom for the Gear Live here. So there's a lot to pick from. This is where they actually differ. The LG G Watch has a different watch face library than the Gear Live. Now the watch face changes when you're in ambient mode, so as you can see here, it's a slightly different design. And when you wake it up, it goes back to the one you selected. If you swipe down here, you can see we have the option to mute our notifications or unmute our notifications. You can also see our charge status as well as the date. Now, if you want to activate ambient mode, just put your hand over the device and it goes to sleep. Now, your watch can also act as a remote control for your media playing on your phone. So, for example, I have Google Play Music playing right now. If I swipe up here, I get to my controls complete with album art. So I can pause it and play it. There's not a lot of controls here. I have next, I have previous, and that sort of thing. That's all available in this app. Now, certain apps are treated differently. So, for example, some apps don't have back or forward or fast forward or reverse, but most apps have pause or play. Now, you can place and receive phone calls with the Gear Live. So if you're receiving an incoming call, you get a little notification on the Gear Live display or the Android Wear display. You can swipe to answer it, and basically you'll have to pick up your phone to answer it, or you can swipe to hang up. And that will hang up the phone call on the device itself. Now, we can also directly access some of our apps here. So if we swipe all the way down here to where we would normally go to settings, you see we have the Start button. So this takes us to, for example, the Compass app, the Fit app, the heart rate monitor, and some apps I've installed, the Hue Control and the Keep. These apps are available from the Google Play Store, and I'll show you that when we get to the app. So there we go. We have our compass. You can swipe to close that. You have to tap this again to get back to that screen here. So let's go to Start. Then we have the Fit app, which is a Google app here, so it shows us our pedometer as well as our heart rate. Now, I've installed some third-party apps, including Hue Control, which allows me to control my Hue lighting system in my house. So right now, it sees my lighting groups. So I have all lights here. I can select this. This allows me to turn it on or turn it off. I can also swipe to change the brightness of my lights. I can change the color of those lights or change the saturation, all from my wrist. Now, when I'm using my Hue lights, I actually get a notification card with my Hue light control, so I don't have to dig around to get to the Hue controls. They're right there as one of the notification cards, as you can see when I swipe through here. So I can swipe right to turn all my lights off or on. I can also use voice control, so I can say, turn lights on. Now, if I swipe all the way over to the right, if I click open, this actually opens the app that's on the watch here. So again, I can select my lighting group. I can turn them off. I can select my color presets, which I don't have any right now, change my brightness, the color, as well as the saturation. Now let's take a look at the Android Wear app. So this is where you can adjust the settings and modify some of the features on your watch right from this app instead of using the watch itself. So for example, you can change your voice action settings here. So these are the default apps for certain apps, and if you want to modify them, so for example, if you go to stopwatch here, you have two options here. You can select one or the other, and as you install other apps that are supported here, you'll get more options. You can also browse compatible apps, so you can add additional apps from the Google App Store here. So you can see all the apps that are available here, including IFTTT, and then I also installed some other apps like the Hue app and that sort of thing. Google Maps and some of these other apps are already installed. You can also go up here to disconnect your watch or reconnect your watch. You also have additional settings up here, so you can mute certain app notifications. So if you don't want to receive notifications on your watch from certain apps, you can add some of those apps. So for example, if you don't want to receive notifications from Ask.fm on your watch, you can add it or remove it. You can also select screen always on or off. You can hide cards on dim screen. So those are the notification cards that appear on your screen when it's in ambient mode. So you can hide them or show them always. I have it shown always. I prefer that. We can also silence connected phones. So when you receive a notification, right now, by default, both the watch vibrates and your phone rings or vibrates. And you can select alert on watch only if you want to mute your phone. We can also elect to show calendar event cards on our watch, or we can resync our apps from our phone. So in conclusion, Android Wear certainly has room to grow, and I think the user interface is a little confusing, especially for people who are first starting to use it. So for example, getting to the settings control panel for adjusting fundamental things like brightness isn't the most intuitive thing to do. I think things like that will be improved over time. But I really like the fact that Android Wear works across several devices. It isn't locked down to Samsung or LG. It works on any device that supports the Android Wear app. Now, I really like notifications on my watch. I do wish it did include a speaker like the Gear 2, but notifications of any kind on your wrist is very handy. This means I'm more likely to receive notifications and less likely to miss them, especially if your phone is muted. Now, using voice to send text messages is hit or miss, at least in my case. I find it not to be reliable enough to depend on, but in the pinch, it definitely can get you by, especially if your messages are pretty simple. Now, in terms of which watch I prefer, it's actually kind of difficult for me to choose, but I definitely prefer the look of the Gear Live with that metal faceplate and that curved glass display with that Super AMOLED screen, which is higher resolution. It just looks a little more premium, but it's also kind of a bulky watch. It has a much wider watch face, and the band is a little more rigid, so it's not as comfortable, especially if you have kind of small wrist. I think the LG G Watch is going to be a little more comfortable with that softer band and that smaller watch face. So in terms of comfort, LG G Watch. In terms of style, I'm going to have to favor the Gear. Now, the LG G Watch does have that magnetic dock, which is a nice solution, but it's also a heavier charging solution than the light clasp that comes with the Gear. So I'm not sure which I prefer. I don't think it's a big deciding factor for me, other than the fact that the magnetic dock just looks a lot neater. And of course, the Gear Live has a heart rate monitor, so if you want to use this as a fitness device, really, the Gear Live is the only one to look at. Alright guys, so that's going to do for me in this video. Please let me know which watch you prefer, the LG G Watch or the Gear. Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you again in the next video. Now we also have our Hangout messages here. So for example, if you want to reply to our Hangouts message, you just swipe right, takes us right to the, okay.